Special thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority and Saudi Boxing Federation, Turki Al-Sheikh. This event is a presentation of Riyadh season. Let's get ready to rumble!
Canelo is looking to be friends, and Crawford is not looking to be friends. This is furious action.
Oh, and that's a good early land by Crawford.
It has been a masterful performance from Terence Crawford.
Ring Magazine, an undisputed super middleweight champion of the world.
Thank you to all the haters. I appreciate every one of y'all.
I'm glad to share the ring with great fighters, and I'm glad to be here.
Welcome to Inside the Ring, boxing's official show of record. I'm Max Kellerman. That's Chris Arreola. That's our insider, Mike Coppinger. And there's Shady McCoy. The football player? Yes, the football player. Mm-hmm. He's a for real boxing fan. Guys, we all know what we're doing here this morning. What a fight.
Yes.
What a night. There are some, the promotion's over. We don't have to sell you anything. There are some events that during the build-up, can it live up to its promise? Right. And actually, the fight played out the way I thought it would too, but it was one of the best versions of what that fight could have been. We're going to reveal, by the way, Ring's pound for pound list later. We'll see if you get it right with Bud at number one. Anyway, let's get right into the lead hook. Guys, Terence Bud Crawford did what I would say he would do, and he outboxed Canelo Alvarez, won decisively. Whatever you think about the scores, there's no doubt that Crawford won the fight.
Exactly.
No one, including Canelo Alvarez, is saying that Canelo Alvarez won that fight. Guys, what did you see? Chris Arreola, what did you see?
Terence Crawford, just a master class that night. Boxing, the way he boxed him, the way he threw the jab, just constantly just turned him to the right. Jab, turn to the right, combination fights, combination punches, Canelo was overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Canelo was overwhelmed. He could only counter punch one time, one punch, two punches, when Terence Crawford was just peppering him with jabs and measuring him. Mm-hmm. If he wasn't touching him, he was just making sure he knew the distance. Man, just beautiful performance by Bud.
JD, it was great. I think Bud stole the show. Everything that people thought he could do to Canelo, he did. The last time I've seen a fight like that, I want to say Floyd did it to him. But the difference was there wasn't no rehydration clause where Canelo could only get 13 pounds. I think it's a catch weight, right, Mike? Something like that.
Floyd's given credit for being junior middleweight champ. Not in my book.
Right.
If you make a guy fight below the division limit, how do you say that you won that division title?
So Crawford had that though. I'm a smaller man, come up 3 weight classes, and I want you to be at your best. Right. If you want to come in at whatever weight you want to come in, come at that. And when you watch the fight, there was times where he outboxed him, outclassed him, and there was times where he fought in the phone booth. I'm thinking I haven't seen Canelo look that frustrated in a long time. It reminded me of my son, where he don't get what he wants. He's like, had a temper tantrum in the ring.
Are you trying to say that he's sunned Canelo? You're saying Bud sunned Canelo?
Did he not?
You saying he sunned Canelo? Yes, I saw the meme.
Did you see Canelo in the ring having a tantrum in there?
I thought he was going to talk about the meme where you have Bivol and Floyd and Bud in there. It's a meme on social media where it's like little baby Canelo. I mean, never mind the fact that those are 3 great fighters. He's a great fighter to beat.
He dominated him.
And that's the thing, too. I want to give Bud all the credit in the world. Yes, I picked Canelo, but I didn't think Canelo looked old in this ring. Canelo did a lot of good things in there, too, and that's why Crawford is so great. He showed that even when Canelo was landing his best shots, Crawford took those shots, Max. He even won the exchanges, which is something I didn't think he could do.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you the truth, guys. This fight went exactly as I thought it would go. My only question was, in the first 30 seconds or a minute, we're going to find out if Canelo's just too big.
Too big, right.
If he's not too big, and you'll know that because Crawford won't be able to hold the center of the ring at all, right? If he's not too big, how does Canelo win that fight? And that's the thing about Bud Crawford. This generation who just watched him, he always figures out a way to win, right? No matter what you bring, he's going to think a little faster than you. He has a few more tools than you. His bag is a little deeper, and he'll get it done. But in this case, what does Canelo do better than Crawford, where if he's just not too big, he could win? Right. And once it showed he wasn't too big, it was a wrap.
Yeah. And you have to give Bud a lot of credit because no matter how you scored the fight, now I had it the same as two judges. I had it even going into the championship rounds, and Bud won those rounds big. I mean, Bud, great instructions from Bomac telling Bud, you have to win those rounds. He won 11 and 12 going away. He won the fight clearly.
Wait,
I thought it was a 7-5.
Wait, hold up.
I had a 7-5. I could have been 8-4, 9-3.
But Chris got his mouth open too.
Real quick, Chris. Did you just say that in the 10th round you thought it was even?
Two of the judges also. The guys, you know the guys who get paid to do this?
And they be wrong a lot. That's why people be so mad about
maybe you're
wrong.
wrong.
But by the way, the best judge didn't have it. Steve Weisfeld is the best judge there.
Yeah. He had it 8-4. That's not going away. It was a... Again, I agree with Max. Max said it was anywhere, right, from 7-5 to 9-3.
You could have 7-5. You could have 7-5.
Listen, there's no doubt about it. Bud won this fight clear and convincing.
I can see, Chris, I gave him about 4 rounds. So 5, I can take that. All I'm saying is that when you, because the first thing you said at the end of the fight, you said, we all just witnessed this. Bud just won. Let's not mess this thing around.
Well, you know I said
that. And let's not overthink it.
No question he won.
When you really watch Bud, like, he outclassed him. Canelo didn't even fight it. He knew he lost.
He knew.
You know why I said that, Shady, is because in boxing, there's so often bad decisions.
Yes, it is.
And especially when the money guy can keep it competitive in certain rounds, he always gets the benefit of the doubt. I just wanted it to be on the record in that fight that Bud won that fight. Whether or not the judges agree is actually not the point. He won the fight, and let's see if the judges screw this up or they don't. And they didn't.
They did.
By the way, I do think, Chris, that you could have had it 5-5 going into the 10th, into the 11th, but that's only if you give Canelo everything you can. If you give Bud everything you can, it's, 7-3 going into the 10th.
Not only that, but just Canelo just did not throw enough punches. Every time he countered, you can't just counter with just 1 punch, 2 punches, especially with someone like Crawford. That's when you throw something, he's gonna throw something right back at you.
Is there anything he could have done different, really, in retrospect?
He should have thrown more punches. He should have thrown 3-4 punch combinations every time he threw. He countered because, yes, Bud was throwing shit back, but man, Canelo, 1 punch ain't gonna do it.
You know what Crawford did a great job of, Max? I thought is every time Canelo landed a good shot, whether it was to the body or the head, Crawford's responses to the judges were so good. He would go whap, whap.
Because he has that thing. Eric Morales had this. The great fighters have this. When you hit them once, or God forbid with a 2-piece, it's coming right back at you. They won't let you take the play away. Guys, I have the answer. But now I'm going to say that Professor Kellerman's giving you the quiz. Is this one of the biggest wins in boxing history? Chris, this one of the biggest wins in boxing history?
Well, this one goes along, in my opinion, goes along with Roy Jones Jr. when he beat Ruiz because John Ruiz because he went up to heavyweight. It wasn't so many weight divisions, but it was like 30-40 pounds that he went up just to fight John Ruiz.
And John Ruiz ain't Canelo.
No.
Well, he ain't Canelo, but he's still a big dude.
Yeah, it was a big dude.
Listen, I think it's no doubt one of the best wins in boxing history because Canelo is not just one of the all-time greats, but he is the face of boxing. So when you beat the sport's top star and you do it on a stage like this, Netflix, 70,000 plus in attendance, and you and I were there, that atmosphere was incredible. So I think all those things elevate this win. One thing I want to say on the judging real quick, the judges were unanimous on 6 of the 12 rounds. This was not the easiest fight to score. And I don't think judges always give credit, and they did in this fight, to Canelo's body work.
Since you brought it up, let's take the first round, for example. Okay? Let me teach everyone how to score a round. Forget about all the criteria. Whoever you would rather have been in that round won the round. So in the first round, Crawford landed the flashiest and the only clean punch. It was a left hand, and then he followed it with a right. It was a 2-1, but the one knocked Canelo's glove into his own head, okay? Canelo didn't really land anything clean other than a body shot.
Right.
He had like 6-8 punches blocked. But to tell you the truth, even if you catch a shot on your arms, that's not nothing. Right. I don't know that Crawford can win the fight with just win the round with just one left hand. I could have given the first round to Canelo. I could give the 5th. Canelo won the 5th.
Yes.
You want to say the 8th and the 10th?
The 8th he won, yes.
The 8th he won, and the 10th, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Close rounds.
So it's not that hard to score. 1, 5, 8, and 10 is a swing round.
So, but hold up. As the fight was going on, in the first 6 rounds, y'all didn't feel super confident, like, yo, Bud it might be a shutout in the first 6 rounds. Even if you're talking about the way you was judging it, if you just really watch it, you watch the fight, you turn the sound off, you just watching it. To me, it was convincingly that
Bud was doing what he wanted to do.
Whatever he wanted to. And it looked like he was frustrating Kellerman where what I want to do, I can't get it off. He wasn't letting him. And then another thing that he started headbutting him on because he was so frustrated. I bet on Bud to win this fight. And he was beating him so bad and so well that I'm like, when he got in there in the booth and started really exchanging with Canelo, I said, no, don't do it. But it showed me that, look, I'm so confident because I'm already outboxed you. Now I'm going to exchange with you. And that's why I'm saying he confidently.
Yes, you're right. Crawford's body language is much better than Canelo's body language.
But there's
Canelo
more
had his
to it
head
about.
Can we speak on body language real quick? In any sport, body language lets you know what the player is.
Yeah.
In football, if the line's not blocking, the quarterback's getting sacked, he's going to show his body language. He's going to be mad. If a dude
looks mad.
If he's shooting the ball and he can't make nothing in basketball, his body language is going to be bad. If you watch Canelo in that fight, his body language was awful.
It was bad.
And you talking about the pound-for-pound king, that boy Bud Crawford's crazy. That boy good.
Yeah, boxing me.
That boy
just
is good.
That lateral movement, that jab, that he just kept it in his face. He kept, every time, pump that jab. And if you notice, his lead foot was always on the outside.
Always on the outside.
Always in punching
so much
position.
easier for him to just jab and get the fuck up out of there.
Yeah,
jab, get the fuck up out of there.
And by the way,
get the fuck up out of there.
Chris, we'll see what you think of this. I think a lot of times in the second half of a fight, we start to find out what really happened in the first half of the fight. Because you have to interpret what you're seeing. Hey, is Canelo actually getting through with some of these body shots and maybe winning this round here and there? Or is my brain right, when my eyes are right, what I'm seeing? Crawford's just outboxing him. A lot of times the second half of a fight will illuminate what happened in the first.
Right.
And what happens when a boxer really is outboxing the other guy is he starts to open up that advantage and really exploit what he's already done and everything he's found out. The second half of the fight put an emphasis on the fact that Bud was in fact outboxing him in the first half of the fight. It is one of the biggest wins in boxing history. And now let Uncle Max gather around, children, and I will explain this. This is the situation, guys. No one has ever been a 4-division champion in boxing. Not a real one. Oh, Pacquiao won 8 and Oscar De La Hoya won 11 and this one won 15. No, I'm talking about Ring Magazine champ or lineal champ. You are the champion of that division.
Get them all.
Forever, the record was 3 by Henry Armstrong. Manny Pacquiao was the first dude to really win 4. Floyd gets credit for 4 for beating Canelo, but that wasn't at the junior middleweight limit. I don't count that. I don't count that.
Right.
Terence Crawford just joined Manny Pacquiao as the only legit 4-division champion in the history of boxing.
Legit.
And he did it by jumping middle. He came lightweight, junior welter. Then he won a belt at junior middle, not the whole championship. And then skipped middle to fight Canelo Alvarez for the undisputed, for the Ring Magazine super middleweight championship of the world, and left no doubts, including with Canelo, who was all class after the fight but knew what had just happened.
How great do you think Canelo is? I'm honest opinion. How great do you think Canelo is?
He is.
Right now today, like how great is he?
Overall for his career?
Overall.
Great fighter. Like any great fighter. Some guys could beat him, especially if they could move.
Right.
But, he went through Triple G. He was anointed the next big star, right? But he didn't inherit that from Mayweather. He fought for it. He fought Triple G when no other middleweights would. Yeah. And he had 3 fights with him, a draw he probably lost, a win he deserved, and then dominated Triple G.
Yep. But my point of asking you that is because if they'd have gave Terence Crawford the fight that he wanted, and it's 10 to 12 years, we'd be looking at him way differently, right?
Yep.
Now he's getting his credit.
Yes,
but
that's fair.
He's way better than Canelo. I'm going to say he's way better than Canelo.
He's a greater fighter than Canelo.
But the reason why people can't really see how much better he really is if this fight really didn't happen is because we haven't seen it.
That's fair.
But if he'd had them shots, it would have been the same thing.
He didn't get to fight Keith Thurman.
He would have been the pound-for-pound king for the last 7-8 years.
He has been. No. I look in retrospect and say, what has been demonstrated time and time again,
to the world,
whenever they have given Crawford the opportunity, what he has demonstrated, and then people get amnesia. Some other guy, the monster, Usyk, someone else has a big win. What he demonstrates is after you just saw it, that's the dude. 12 years in a row, guys.
Shady, you did touch on something that's important here, and that's that just because Bud hadn't done it before, it doesn't mean he could do it, that he couldn't do it, right? Mm-hmm. You talk about 147, right? He didn't get Spence. For years, he was calling for Spence, couldn't get it. Keith Thurman couldn't get it. At 135 and 140, it wasn't his fault, but they weren't the deepest weight classes. But when push came to shove and Crawford got the opportunities, Spence and now Canelo, he left no doubt.
Because he outclassed Canelo and dominated him. I think with the Spence, it was more the physical domination. But I just think that's how great he is because we haven't seen him fight them top guys because they wouldn't let him. But if he did, we would already been thinking this. Even before the Canelo fight.
The reason he didn't fight those guys, it's all promotional.
Yep.
It's all promotional. That's the thing that Turkey's gonna fix. All promotional. People did. Of course, he wanted to fight the big fights, but the other promoters didn't want to risk their big fighters with this big
and
fighter.
that's what all without Turkey Al-Sheikh, this fight would not have happened.
Exactly.
Of course.
But
we're about to enter. My prediction is we're about to enter quite an era of boxing.
Yeah.
I want you guys to listen to what Canelo had to say about Crawford after the fight.
hope he was honest.
He deserved all the credit. No, I try my best tonight, and I just cannot figure out the style. He have everything. I try my best tonight.
Compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
The thing about Crawford that people have to understand, it's wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. That makes a difference to people.
Let me ask you this. Again, also talking about Floyd. He didn't start fighting real fighters, in my opinion, until he left Top Rank.
Okay.
Also. I feel like Top
Oscar,
Rank.
you can say the same thing about Oscar.
Yeah. I feel like, promotionals are hold them back, hold a lot of fighters back. Terence Crawford was also a Top Rank fighter.
Last thing I'll say, go ahead, Shady, go ahead.
No, because I think, obviously Floyd's great, but when I watch Bud, it's a different type of animal though. Bud's not looking for no advantages. You want to fight, let's fight. I feel like back then when Floyd was, it's always something, right? Well, what weight you coming in at?
But Floyd didn't become that way until he became Money Mayweather. When he was Pretty Boy Floyd, he took on everybody.
I'm saying right now they're both at the top, right? All the money is coming in now. Bud's making money now. But when I even like how Bud told Canelo, come in at whatever weight you want. I don't mind. We're going to fight. I'm coming up 3 weight classes.
Here's the thing that Bud has done to contemporaries, okay? People who are watching him, and I want you to pay particular attention to fighters, other great fighters.
Okay.
He is establishing a legacy, not in terms of the resume. Again, I get it, for reasons we went over. Similar to Sugar Ray Robinson. People who saw Sugar Ray Robinson for decades and decades, and even now, that's the greatest fighter ever, right? That guy beats everybody.
Yes.
Bud Crawford, and let's see what happens for the rest of his career, because Roy Jones got to this level when he beat John Ruiz and then kept fighting, and it diminished it in a way. But if he never fought again, Bud Crawford has left that impression on contemporaries. Guys, we interviewed Terence Crawford after the break. Stick around.
It's just come alive. This is extraordinary. It's bizarre. It's mad. What a shot from Joe Parker. Round 1 KO. Fabio Wardley's done it.
Anthony Yarde, he fears no man. He wants David Benavidez, and there's not a lot of fighters in the world that do.
Body shot from Yarde. Shot to the head. Down he goes. Solid shot. Right hand.
Anthony Yarde.
Welcome back to Inside the Ring. We are here with the man of the hour and maybe the man of the last dozen years in boxing in retrospect. He just beat Canelo Alvarez as he promised he would. He's still undefeated. Now, 4-weight division Ring Magazine champion, joining only Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao in the history of boxing as a real 4-weight division champion, and maybe just Pacquiao. We'll talk about that later. The great Terence Bud Crawford. Bud, I know you're tired. Thank you for joining us right now.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Bud, you are at a pinnacle now that most people only ever dream of. What does it feel like? All those years where, well, he's under the radar, no one wants to fight him, he's not going to be marketable enough, all that stuff, and now you are at the very apex of sport. What are you feeling right now?
Well, to be honest, I don't feel anything because, you know, when it's meant for it to happen like that, you know, it just happened organically. You know, I know where I was meant to be. I know my place in the sport where I was, you know, destined to be at. So I just take it in stride.
Yeah, do you guys want to talk to Bud? I mean, I'm happy to have a conversation with him.
Don't let I'll get going.
Go ahead.
Real quick, I want to say congrats, Bud. The whole culture's behind you. When I seen you walking in, the first thing I said to you, Bud, the belt is in this case. Go get it. You looked at me and said, I'm going to go get it. So congratulations on that. I just want to say how big this moment is for you, bro. 3-time undisputed champ. I mean, the last time is Henry Armstrong with 1930-something. We couldn't drink at the same water fountain. It was that long ago.
Right.
So how big does that really feel, though? Because that's big. I know you're saying it's normal, but that's big, bro. How does it truly feel, though? Because you're the king of this joint right now.
To be honest, you know, it feels great. But at the same time, you know, that's the honest to God truth. Like, you know, like I'm not jumping around, jumping for joy. I'm just like, maybe it ain't set in yet. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I told everybody, you know, what was going to happen. And it happened just like I said it would.
Cop, you want to ask him the same question to see if we get it, or can we move on now?
Yeah, look, Bud, I should have.
That's huge,
look,
bro.
Bud,
Shady.
when you said you were going to beat him, I should have listened. That was the first time and the last time I picked against you. And you were great. But the thing that surprised and impressed me the most, Bud, was how well you took Canelo's punches. I mean, that was your first fight at 68. You hadn't even fought at 160. And I saw you say at the post-fight press conference that even Mean Machine hits harder than this guy. When did you know in the fight that you could take his shots pretty well?
Well, you know, the first shot that he hit me with, you know, Canelo, he punched hard, you know, but I think, you know, he couldn't land the shots that he wanted to land on me, and that was frustrating him. You know, if you watch the fight, he only landed a few, like, telling shots, like a couple of straight rights, you know, like a straight right to the body. But everything else was, like, blocked or parried or he missed. You know, when I say Mean Machine hit harder than him, I could say Mean Machine caught me with more cleaner punches that, you know, I felt more than Canelo. And we fight with 8 ounces instead of 10 ounces as well.
Right, of course.
Good
that makes a
point.
difference.
Yeah, right.
Bud, the fight was tied on the judges' scorecards going into the 11th round. Were you aware that you had to close the show big to leave no doubt? Because even Canelo at the end was acknowledging defeat. But had those last two rounds been close, maybe we're not talking about the fight the same way we are right now, right? Were you aware that you had to close it?
Of course. You know, my corner, you know, going into the championship rounds, they just kept yelling at me, you got to close the show. You got to win the championship rounds because they're not going to give it to you. You got to win the championship rounds because it was one round where, you know, I dominated in the scorecards. They gave it to Canelo, and that just changed the whole mentality of the fight. You know, they were just like, all right, you know, you got to go out there and win these rounds. You got to go out there and win these rounds.
Okay, Bud, check this out. I know, like, Shady brought up Henry Armstrong, undisputed. All that. I don't care about all the... I'm talking about who's the real champ of every division. The lineal, the guy who unifies, whatever, the real champ. In the history of boxing, Henry Armstrong did it in 3 divisions. They say Floyd did it in 4, but he had a weight stipulation where Canelo couldn't weigh in as a full junior middleweight. I don't count that. That's not a junior middleweight. That's 3 for Floyd. Manny Pacquiao did 4. Terence Crawford has done 4. I heard you after the fight say you're thinking about middleweight. Because if you waited for those dudes to unify or they set up some tournament and you won the middleweight Ring Magazine champion, you would be the first real 5-division champion in the history of boxing. Is that on your mind?
There's really nothing on my mind right now. You know, like I said, I'm resting up. I ain't talked to my team yet, you know, and I'm just enjoying the victory and, you know, my hard work and everything that I put in the sport.
So why'd you tell him at the desk after the fight you're thinking about middleweight? I heard that. You act like we didn't all see that.
They asked me, you know what I mean, a question. I told them, I said, I don't know. Maybe I'll go down to 160. You know, I said, I don't know. Maybe, you know, it's just thought. It's not a fact yet. If I do it, then it'll be a fact. Right now, it's just a thought.
Yeah, and Bud, look, I've known you a long time, right? I think I met you in 2012 when we did that first interview. What I'm impressed by is you did everything your way. You heard people say that you're not going to be a big star, that you don't have this, you don't have that. Top Rank, in my opinion, never pushed you this way. And now we see you headlining over 70,000 people in attendance. Crazy atmosphere there on Netflix. Why were you so emotional afterward? Is it that you just realized everything that you achieved? Did the moment just hit you then?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's just, you know, the history, you know, behind the sport is just everything that, you know, I trained for my whole life. It all was, you know, coming out that one night. That was all paying off. You know, you have a lot of people that, you know, adopted this narrative that Terence Crawford can't sell, Terence Crawford is not marketable, you know, and they push the narrative to the public, and that's all people write about. Oh, Terence Crawford can't do this, Terence Crawford can't do that. But anyone in Terence Crawford fights, you see a sold out crowd, you know, but they wasn't talking about that. They was talking about how, you know, marketable I'm not. You know, and that kind of was hurting my career because, you know, a lot of people was looking at me and said, oh, yeah, they said he's not marketable. Or they said he's not, you know, don't have a personality, things like that, because I didn't want to do things their way. I didn't want to put on a show. I didn't want to disrespect my opponents when they wasn't disrespecting me. Right. I wasn't, you know, I'm not a guy that, you know, wear jewelry for no reason, you know. Just the things that I didn't want to do that they wanted me to do, you know. They go out there and say, oh, well, they lost money on me, you know. It's just crazy though to see me headline, you know, not one of the largest attending fight in American history. In American history. Canelo fought so many great fighters before me. And a lot of people, you know, they say, oh, well, Canelo's driving this fight. Canelo's driving this fight. But when you look at it, you see Errol Spence, his largest attendance, his highest paycheck was against Terence Crawford. But they say, oh, well, Errol Spence did this. When you see Canelo Alvarez, his highest paycheck, his largest attendance, you know, was against Terence Crawford, you know, and a lot of people, they don't give me no credit. They just, you know, try to demise who Terence Crawford is and give the other fighter all the credit. When, you know, it's two fighters, it takes two fighters to tangle. You know, we both made this fight happen, you know, and history was made, you know, on both ends, you know, because without Canelo, there wouldn't be no history-making fight. Without Terence Crawford, there wouldn't be no history-making fight. So you got to give both of the fighters credit, you know, for the magnitude of the fight. And as well, you got to give Turkey Al-Sheikh, Riyadh Season, Netflix, because it's a whole team of effort that everybody put in to make the event as big as it was.
Terence Bud Crawford, you did it your way. You never compromised who you are. And now you sit here with it's going to be, as I said, easily the most watched fight since Ali Spinks 47 years ago. The biggest attendance in American in United States history for an indoor boxing match for sure. And more than that, Bud, this generation of fans you're not going to be able to tell them anything about Terence Crawford. Years from now, some other fighter's going to come around, and they're going to be like, man, I don't want to hear it. Bud would have beaten that guy. You are this generation's boxing icon. We appreciate you coming on early in the morning for you after a fight like that on a Saturday here on a Monday morning. Thank you very much, Bud. Congratulations.
All I ask, Bud, can I get an invite to the parade?
Man, everybody invited. Everybody invited.
Okay, because we there, it's a party, dog. Okay.
Thank you, champ. Congrats. Still to come, we get into Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez and compare our boxing Mount Rushmores in light of Bud Crawford's historic win. We'll be right back with more Inside the Ring. Welcome back to Inside the Ring. I am Max Kellerman. That's Chris Arreola, Mike Coppinger, and Shady McCoy. So another thing that made waves this weekend, guys, was right here on Inside the Ring.
That's right.
Get used to that. Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez facing off, right? I mean, guys, take a look.
You told me the game plan, you gave this out. I don't want no excuses. So don't say too much.
All right, Canelo Crawford.
No, I could give him that. I could tell him all the game plans and everything, because a true master in anything in boxing, the sport, you got to master yourself. You got to learn how to beat yourself. So if I give you all the tools on how to beat me, and I beat you,
I already know how to beat you, bro.
Nobody beat me.
I already know how to beat you.
All right, well, you guys tune in early 2026.
Easy.
It's going down. Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, sugar and sweet. We're going to make it nice and pretty for you all.
Sweet and sugar.
Sugar and sweet, yeah. Damn, come on, man. But here's what's crazy to me about a fight like that. And I remember, when I'm a little kid, Sugar Ray Leonard wins the gold medal. And then you blink, he's fighting Benitez for the title. Then he's fighting Durant twice. Then he's fighting Hearns. It didn't take 100 years to make the fight. But what's wild about something like this is a real super fight, and I said this on the broadcast for Crawford and Canelo, can't be promoted into existence. Right. What a real super fight is, the dust settles in an era, and there are two dudes left standing. There's Ali, there's Frazier, there's Leonard, there's Hagler, there's Mayweather, there's Pacquiao. That's a super fight, right? There's Crawford, there's Canelo. Those are two big fighters of the era. This type of fight, this could easily be at the end of an era, because Teo might be a dude left standing and Shakur could be the dude left standing, right?
I agree.
But it could happen now. It could happen now.
Could happen.
Yeah.
Let's see if it actually does get done.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think no?
I think it probably will happen, but it's not done yet. And we also thought Teofimo Lopez and Haney was going to happen in August, and that didn't happen. So let's just wait and see. I like the fight. You have two of the most athletic, skilled fighters in all the sport, both in their primes or maybe just entering their primes.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to be the most aesthetically pleasing fight. We've seen the way Teo goes against some of these boxers. We've seen Shakur in some bad fights, obviously, although Shakur looks pretty damn good against William Zepeda. Teo's not a pressure guy. He likes to counterpunch. Two counterpunchers, really.
Yes, it is not but there are some fights, guys. I think about Pernell Whitaker and Buddy McGirt, or Sugar Ray Leonard and Wilfred Benitez. I love the high-speed chess match. Not every fight has to be rock'em sock'em robots, right? That is, I agree with you. Aesthetically, there could be problems because someone has to take the lead, and they're both counterpunchers. But Chris, Teo has some angles with his feet that might bother a guy like Shakur.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He has great angles with the feet. He moves greater in the ring, and combination fighter. To me, combinations is the best. It's key to win a fight because you never know what's going to come from you. And he throws great combinations. He stays in the pocket and solid chin. Great chin.
Teo also, we were talking to them on the show the other day, and I'm like, hey, you've never fought anyone like him, and he's never fought anyone like you. And as I'm saying like you, I'm like, actually, Teo beat Lomachenko. Beat Lomachenko. When Lomachenko was on top of the world, beat him straight up.
And nobody wanted to call out Lomachenko back then. The one thing about Teo, and you have a point, like some of the fights maybe been boring, but it's never a boring fight with Teo when it's an elite competitor in front of him. I was at the fight when he fought Josh Taylor. I watched it. And then Lomachenko, I was a big fan of Lomachenko when nobody would call him out, and Teo called him out. Him and his pops, everybody thought they was crazy, and he wasn't. I think this fight is so hard to judge because Shakur is so good, and now he's actually putting pressure on from his last fight. And T.O., and they know each other. I find the better fights is when guys know each other.
That goes one of two ways. Either it's a sparring session, or they're out for blood. Right?
Yeah. I think Teal's out for blood if it happens.
Yeah, Teal's out for blood.
They got something to prove. Theo has something to prove. He better prove it. Especially if they fight, he better bring it to him because Shakur is not that kind of a fighter. Shakur is gonna want to fucking try to box him and win those kind of battles.
They almost fought in the dressing room.
Yeah.
They gonna be ready to fight.
Normally,
they almost fought in the dressing room.
Normally, Chris, in fights of that kind of magnitude or at that level, give me the guy with a better defense. I think history says that guy usually wins the fight between elite fighters. Shakur has the better defense. But Shady makes a great point. Teofimo Lopez, whenever he has been the underdog, it's been 2 fights, he has fought the best fights of his career. And is the Shakur who beat Zepeda just now good enough to beat the Teo who beat Lomachenko, right? Or does Shakur need to find another gear to beat that
That's
Teo?
the thing. It's going to be a chess match. It has to be a chess match. They both are smart fighters. They're both great fighters. They both are proven fighters. They have a great resume in front of them. So we're going to find out who has the goods that night.
Yeah, and I agree, Chris. But 2 things stand out to me here. What Shady said is true, right? When Teo steps up in class,
thank you.
Josh Taylor and Lomachenko, 2 really good fighters, Teo rose to the occasion. On the flip side of that, Teo against boxers, Jameen Ortiz, Sandor Martin, could have lost either one of those fights potentially. So which way is it? Is it the style that gives him the issues here, or does he rise to the occasion?
Teo has fought someone on Shakur's level. More like whether Shakur's better than Loma or not, whatever. But it is that class of fighter, and Shakur's never fought anyone like Teofimo Lopez. Right? I mean, that's true. Guys.
Well, Shakur did say this, though. He said after he beats on Teo, he going to beat on Mike. He said they take 2 guys in one night, so Mike.
What is it with you? You're fighting with every fighter?
Yeah. No,
you're picking fights.
A lot of fighters don't like hearing the truth, Max.
But you know what? Let me tell you something about Coppinger, which is 100% true. I like this kid since he was a kid. He will tell you what he thinks.
Right. That's real, though. I like that.
As idiotic as those thoughts sometimes are, those are his thoughts, and he's not sugarcoating them for anybody. Okay. Bob Gibson, I believe it was Bob Gibson, the great Cardinals pitcher.
He doesn't know who that is.
Pitchers of all time.
I'm a Yankee fan, but I know who he is.
Yeah, Bob Gibson. Was once asked, what's the best catch you ever saw? And he said, the best catch is like the prettiest woman. The last one you saw is the best you ever saw, right?
Recency bias.
And that's what happens with Crawford and Usyk and Inoue, right? Whoever's the last guy you saw. So this morning, we're all thinking about Crawford because that's it's not the last guy you saw because we have to talk about the other big fight from the weekend. Inoue and Akhmadaliev. Yes. All right. So, the monster wins again. He was supposed to. What'd you see, Mike?
Yeah, I was exhausted watching this fight, Max. It went on at 4 a.m., so I was literally falling asleep during it at times. But Inoue, great again, as always. Wasn't nearly as entertaining as most of these Inoue fights. I thought Inoue probably won like 12-0 or 10-2. It was one of those fights. And look, I'm a little disappointed. Akhmadaliev is a very good fighter. He's been saying that Inoue's been ducking him for years, calling him names, and then he didn't really show up until like the last 10 seconds of the fight. He rocks Inoue, and it was a little too late. But now Inoue's going to go on to what we talked about, right? December 27th against Picasso.
Inoue is just too offensive minded. He's just kill. That's why he was getting caught toward the end. That's why he got taken out because he was just thinking about kill. And he got caught.
But he gets caught a lot, though.
But how hurt did you think he was? To me, he looks pretty hurt.
No, he was hurt. That's a good thing that it happened toward the end of the fight. Yeah. And like you said, the guy didn't show up till like the last round.
People appreciate attacking fighters like that. I think of Manny Pacquiao, obviously.
Yeah.
You mentioned Henry Armstrong earlier in the show. That was another dude. But usually to get to the Henry Armstrong, Manny Pacquiao level with that style is very difficult. Yeah. Because it's a brutal kind of style to employ your whole career. And oftentimes, like a guy like Costa Tszyu, also what I'm talking about is fast twitchy, the athletic fighters who could fight in another style but choose to be super aggressive. When you come up against a mediocre fighter, forget it. Right. Because he's using all those things to destroy you, right? Not to just play games. But Costa Tszyu, as great as he was not Henry Armstrong or Manny Pacquiao. And I wonder where the monster winds up. Already, I'd say he's beyond Costa because he's conquered multiple weight divisions. But how much longer can he employ this style until he runs into someone better than Akhmadaliev? I'm going to butcher Akhmadaliev. Before he runs into someone better than that who might get started earlier.
I was going to ask you that. I was like, he's so offensively sound, right? We think eventually would it catch up to him? Because a couple fights, he's been hurt. He's been rattled a little bit. Now he obviously wins the fights, but he's been down.
He's a little more like Crawford also does that, but he's not as reckless with the offense. Right. He's not as, he's also playing defense. All right.
He's good though. He's great. Mm-hmm.
The monster, and there's a reason that people mistakenly keep saying the monster or Usyk is better pound for pound than Crawford.
Not no more.
You're mistaken, but there's a reason for it.
All right. Not no more.
Coming up, we dive deeper into the Canelo Crawford undercard. Plus, Mike Coppinger gives you the latest inside news from the world of boxing in a segment we like to call Cop's Corner.
Informant's Corner?
The Informant.
Boots and a big clubbing left from Boots again. Chukazan is down.
Professional championship-style beatdown by Boots Ennis, man.
The defining win of his career.
And one of the biggest punchers in boxing.
Oh!
But back on the knees, and that left hook might have Boachuk. And another one.
Virgil Ortiz Jr., the future has arrived.
Welcome back to Inside the Ring. Max Kellerman, Chris Arreola, Mike Coppinger, Shady McCoy. All right, we got to get into the Canelo Crawford undercard because there was a fight on this undercard. Christian Mbilli, Lester Martinez. Lord have mercy. These two guys, Mbilli came out
yes, he did.
To destroy, to impose himself on Martinez. And Martinez, who is a sparring partner for Canelo, for Crawford getting ready for Canelo, had other ideas, and these two, it's not just that they went to war, Chris, it's that they're super middleweight power punchers going to war.
Rock'em sock'em robots, man. They're in the pocket. That's so beautiful. Look at them just throw punches in the pocket. And every punch that they're throwing with bad intent. They're trying to hurt each other.
That's the dullest part of the fight we're showing you. Every second of the fight was at least this good.
In the pocket, and that's beautiful. That's the kind of boxing I love to watch. Pocket fighting, just throwing punches and, imposing each other's will. They just fight each other and just showing out. That's the best part, showing out. All balls to the wall kind of thing.
Ooh, I bet on this fight though. And I took Lester though. But I will say this. Mbilli remind me of McDonough, right? The whole time he's always smothering, the whole time in the pocket, hitting him with bad intentions. It was a good fight, but you can see that Lester's been training with Crawford though. Yeah. Was slick in there, pushing him off him, right? Counter punching, a lot of counter punching.
I thought Lester, I had a feeling he would score the upset in this fight. I don't make predictions in fights I call because I think you got to play it down the middle, right? You don't want to think the audience that you have a rooting interest. But I thought Lester had a good chance for an upset because he can actually box and do some subtle things. And Mbilli coming right at you, he can chop him up. But Mbilli is so physically strong and mentally determined that they just offset each other. Does the winner? It was a draw. So is either one of these guys now a big enough star to get a big fight at super middleweight? Do they need to do it again to determine a winner?
Max, obviously they need to do this fight again. This was one of the best fights of the year. Yes, there were no knockdowns and no knockout, but there was no conclusive winner. I thought the judges did a good job with the draw. That was a just result. And you're talking about a division of 168 where there's no really clear-cut top guy outside of obviously Crawford, who's number one now. And
who
Canelo,
may not stay around. Crawford fights once a year at best anyway.
And there's Canelo, obviously, at 168 of Hamza Shiraz. But Mbilli, especially Mbilli, you look at, he fights out of Quebec, right? You and I both know Montreal, Quebec.
Hotbed.
Huge fights out.
Hotbed.
Beterbiev, Lucien Brute, Jean Pascal. So maybe do the rematch there. That's why I want to see that rematch.
That'd be a great spot for the rematch.
And it's an action fight too, though. Because one thing about Mbilli, he is going to throw punches over and over again. Even when they retired, he still was throwing punches. I was like, the whole fight. I was like,
it's one thing for dudes to do phone booth warfare.
Yes.
It's another thing when two dudes who have almost all their fights by knockout and can stop you with one shot to do phone booth warfare and fight each other to a standstill over 10 rounds. Crazy. Okay, now another fight on the undercard. So you just like the rematch. Is there anyone else at 68 for these guys, you think?
Another fighter I love at 68, Max, also from Canada, Osley Iglesias.
Okay.
Just had a big win over Vladimir Shishkin.
So the winner of a rematch against Iglesias.
That's what I want to see. Especially if it's Mbilli in Montreal.
Okay. Okay. All right. Meantime, Callum Walsh fought Fernando Vargas Jr. in what they positioned as the co-main, or as the fight right before the main event. And you understand why they did that, even though Mbili and Martinez was going to be a better fight, because Callum Walsh has been Dana White's entry into boxing, right? And Dana has a promotional eye that when he's like, oh, he's behind that guy? Well, there's a reason he's behind that. Don't just tell me, yeah, you can market him in Ireland, because if the guy can't fight, it doesn't do you any good. So you're watching Callum Walsh, and Fernando Vargas Jr. is a super athlete and comes from a boxing pedigree, right? It's in his blood, even though he didn't have an amateur career. What'd you think of the fight?
That's the main thing, that he didn't have the amateur career. The amateur career, in my opinion, that's what won it for Walsh. That's when it got sticky, when he needed to counter, when he needed to box him, that's what he had to do. That's what he did. But again, Vargas he's a dog, man. He's a good fucking fighter. Even though he didn't have no amateur experience, he has that Vargas name. He has that Vargas heart. He has that Vargas balls. So he came in there to fight, and he put on a good fight. He put on a decent fight. In my opinion, not a co-main event type of fight, but you know what?
Not at all.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Hey, Chris, I'm going to say something I know is going to be unpopular right now. This was not a good fight. I think the reason it's not a good fight is because both guys are a little better than people realize watching that fight. Callum Walsh won the fight by keeping Vargas' hands at home. Right? Because Vargas is smart enough to know he's got the amateur experience, he's got the muscle memory, I can't just exchange with him. So Vargas is so athletic and so smart at his stage of his career that he actually employed largely the right game plan against a more experienced fighter, and kind of didn't fight him to a standstill because he was losing the rounds, but they were all kind of competitive rounds.
Yeah, but toward the end, it looked like Walsh was about to take Vargas out.
Yeah,
it looked like he was ready. He was about to stop him. It was
I didn't see that.
Close.
Vargas, he looked athletic. He looked real
Very
twitchy
athletic.
and quick, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you have so much talent. Let me see it. Because to me, Walsh, it looked easy for him, right? Long arms, is hitting him. And Vargas was like, all defense the whole fight. Everything was about defense. I'm like, yo, you got that knockout power? Show us.
Yeah, and look, you want to talk about deep divisions, Max? 154 is loaded. Virgil Ortiz, I think, is the number one guy.
Yes.
You have Boots Ennis, who's making his debut there next month.
Philly.
You have Sebastian Fundora. It's like 6'5" and a half. But I think who makes sense for Callum Walsh is Xander Zayas. Just picked up a title. I think they're probably on similar levels. And
Good call.
You talk about Xander Zayas was a big following in New York, right? He's Puerto Rican.
Yep.
Callum Walsh is a guy who's also sold out the theater at MSG multiple times. Ireland and Puerto Rico in New York.
And both of them, they're not bad fighters, but neither one of them are the kind of guys where you're like, one shot's going to do it.
Right.
So it's not that kind of dangerous fight for either guy. Anyone else at 54 you like?
54. I love Fundora, of course, but I just think Fundora is too much and different level probably than Callum Walsh at this moment at least.
I trained in the gym with Xander in Florida. Brother is nice. He's nice.
We discussed this right before we
Brandon Adams,
right?
Yes.
Brandon
Adams.
Give my brother his credit. Come on now, Mike.
We did it right before we
did this.
Max.
Yes. I had the great idea for Brandon
Adams. I tried to tee you up. You see how I put it on a tee for you? That's called teeing you up.
You're the best at that.
Yes.
Look, Brandon Adams is a guy who gave Jamal Charlo a very tough fight and beat Sergey Boachuk a second time, also convincingly. Don't forget, Boachuk last year dropped Virgil Ortiz twice.
And most people think won that fight. And Virgil Ortiz since then, beat Madrimov worse than Crawford did in the eyes of many. And people were saying, hey, could Virgil Ortiz beat Terence Crawford at 54? By the way, let's not get hysterical, all the Crawford non-believers. I think you know now. Right. But the point is, Boachuk, a lot of people think, beat that guy. And Brandon Adams has now beaten Boachuk twice in two different styles.
Right, and he's earned a shot at somebody. So
okay, good. Brandon Adams, I'm glad we finally got you to say his name, Max, because he deserves to be shouted out.
Who bet on that, Max? Look, who bet on that, Max, on Brandon Adams?
You
put money on Brandon Adams?
I'm shocked you picked Brandon Adams.
I told you I was.
It's a good pick.
By the way, I'll tell you something else about Brandon Adams while we're on it. He stays in shape. You can see he stays ready, ripped up, and he has a sense of promotion. Like he's 35 years old. You're like, at his age already, he's getting older. He hasn't really gotten over the hump, managerial, promotional, whatever. He has a sense of showmanship. He showed up to the press conference in a white wig, in a gray wig.
I didn't get that.
Because he's saying, he's saying Boachuk saying I'm an old man. And then he went out after the first fight where he was boxing and moving and caught him with a left hook late to win a fight he was losing. In the second fight, goes into the phone booth with him. I'm glad you shouted him out finally.
He's pretty funny though. He had the little glasses on and all that.
Guys, it is now time for Cop's Corner. Cop, what you got? Our insider.
All right, Max, let's get into the news.
Okay.
We have...
No. We're not going to get into the news. No news today. Here's what Cop's Corner means today. Usually he breaks stories. He has a little bit of news and notes from around the world. No. Today, Cop is cornered. That's why this is Cop's Corner.
You can't go nowhere.
And you're going to cop to it now. You
We're
will cop to it.
Mea culpa. I was wrong. I said Canelo Alvarez was going to win this fight, and there were some logics in my reasoning.
There were logics?
Yeah.
Is that
there was
plural?
logic.
Right. Okay.
And there were, I meant to say there were flaws in my logic.
Yes.
Come on.
It's early, Max.
Yes.
It's early.
Yes, it was.
There were flaws in my logic.
Yes,
First off, I see Crawford go up to 54 and struggle against Madrimov. I thought, he went up to 54, and now he's going to go up 2 more weight classes.
Boo.
I thought Canelo's power.
Right.
Boo this man.
Look, I was so impressed by the way Crawford took those flush shots, and I don't want to hear anybody take credit away.
Boo! No, here's what's the problem. It's not just a prediction. You said 2 things that are ridiculous. 1, that Canelo could do to Crawford. Now, you walked it back, to be fair. Basically what he did to Charlo. Like, he could convince Crawford he couldn't win. You would have to kill Crawford, and then he would still, I wouldn't believe it until you counted 10, and he didn't get up, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is that Canelo, it may be not just too big and strong, but too good.
Oh, I missed that part.
I thought it was possible. Canelo's a Hall of Famer. It wasn't disrespect to Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez, he didn't get the job done, but it was a close fight. It was a clear win for Crawford. You and I spoke about it before.
You're in your corner.
I
You
thought it was
cop to
anywhere from 7-5 to 9-3.
But I agree.
Fair.
7-5 to 9-3 is fair. 8-4 is probably right.
You're a modern day, who's that? Put him in the closet. That's you right now.
Yeah, put him in the closet, right?
Put him in the closet.
You know what?
That's why I'm betting the opposite.
That's what every time I did pick Fury over Usyk too, so that was also a bad pick.
No. It's not the same. It's not that you picked against Crawford. It's that you thought someone could convince him that he couldn't win and that someone could box too well for him. This is what I want to
Won't be the first time I was wrong, man.
80 said he was going to run. He said once he fills
I
up
did not say. I said it was possible.
He said,
I said it was possible.
When you say possible,
I swear to God, I'm going to get someone out
happen.
here to duct tape you right now. Okay, hold on a second. Chris, this is my point about Crawford. Why when Cop said he might be too good, my ears went, I'm going to remember that for after the fight. When you listen to other fighters around the fight game talk about Crawford, you listen to Usyk. Who's the best? Crawford. You listen to Bivol. Who's the best? Crawford. The best fighters in the world who make the best adjustments, who have the highest IQs, look at Crawford and say, that dude boxes better than everyone. What do you say?
It's because it's this right here. He has a lot. He's mentally strong. He's mentally able to dissect someone so easy, and he's so calm in the ring. He's calm in the ring. Like, he's seen everything coming. He's like, all right, I'm going to parry this, or parry that, and I'm going to counter. Every time he countered back was with combinations. Combination punches won that fight. And then he just spun out. Throw combinations, get hit, get out of there.
And by the way, in addition to the brain, he also has certain things like, if you look at like the best swimmers ever, whatever else they have, they're built like swimmers, right?
Long arms, yes. Yeah.
Bud's got these long levers. He's got long arms. He knows how to get leverage on his shots. So on top of the boxing IQ and the skills, you got the reach and the punching power and speed and athletic ability with the wrestling background, everything. Guys, all right, we're going to get into this in a second.
Even in clinches.
Even in clinches. We reveal, all right, you took your medicine well. Good. Right. Good. That's a good cop.
Yeah, right. The first thing is admit, I was wrong.
I was wrong.
That's right. That's right.
All right, we're going to reveal the ring's newest pound-for-pound rankings, and then I'm going to have plenty to say about that here on Inside the Ring.
Listen up. Let's have it. We know you've always got your eye on the prize, the championship belt. And why wouldn't you? You're a finely tuned, well-oiled boxing watching machine, capable of consuming over 185 fights on the zone every year.
We've gone big. We've gone global.
Churning through combinations, comebacks, and non-stop knockouts.
Are you going to take?
With big fights every week, you're the best in the world. So go on, get that belt, champ. The Zone, undisputed.
Welcome back to Inside the Ring. Max Kellerman, Chris Arreola, Mike Coppinger, Shady McCoy with a ring belt.
Represent for my boy Bud Crawford.
Guys, we are about to unveil on this very show the latest pound-for-pound rankings from the ring. You know what I love? When a lot of boxing people, the real hardcore, no one cares about pound for pound. Everyone cares about pound for pound. Everyone cares about pound for pound.
Look at my boy, Max.
All right. Let's see. Let's see the order. Let's see if they got it right. Number 1, Terence Crawford. You know what? Terence Crawford should change his name to Roy Jones because y'all must have forgot. And every time he fights, y'all remember.
That's right.
And then he sits on the shelf for 8, 10 months, a year, and y'all forget again. Terence Crawford is not only now the best pound-for-pound fighter in boxing, he has been since the night he beat Bradis Prescott in retrospect. Ain't no one was going to beat this guy. Usyk 2, guys, I love. You on with that?
Yeah,
you guys are
sure.
Usyk 2?
Absolutely. Usyk number 2. Yeah.
Because
Top 3
because
fine.
the monster at 3, a lot of people say those 3 are interchangeable. I disagree. They're in the same group.
So I had Usyk number 1 before this fight, but I think, after beating Canelo Alvarez and going up 2 weight classes to do it, Crawford's number 1.
See, the reason I put Usyk over Inoue is Usyk reminds me a lot of Crawford, but Crawford I think is a better puncher with longer arms, basically for his division.
Don't forget, Usyk hurt Fury at heavyweight.
He did.
Yes,
Usyk reminds me most of Crawford in the sense that his bag is so deep. If you remember the Tyson Fury fight, Fury started playing with him at a certain point and looked like he was. But no matter how many adjustments you make, Usyk makes another adjustment, like Crawford,
He's
right?
both special. Yeah.
So I give him, even though neither one of those guys is athletic as the monster, I don't think. But
and what's crazy, Max, is both Crawford and Usyk are now 38. Well, Crawford will be 38 in like 2 weeks.
No, it's such a great point.
I can't tell. They moving young.
Speaking of other, I think, guys, I hate to say it. I hate to say it. I think the ring, every once in a while this happens, they got it perfect. I don't think I would change a single ranking.
And we had nothing to do with making this list, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
What about Tank? Why we have Tank up in there?
Tank? Well, here's the thing. I understand. Chris, you're saying because Canelo just lost.
Already,
but think about this.
Get him out of this. Put someone in there, bro.
Okay, you can put someone in instead of Canelo if you want to after a loss. But Canelo just lost a fight where he competed against Terence Crawford in a way that the judges thought Crawford had to win the 11th and 12th to win the fight. Tank just lost to Lamont Roach.
That's true.
But he has enough losses as everyone else.
Yeah, he had the most combined out of everybody.
He has more
You know why? Because he
losses.
fought everybody.
He's right now.
He fights everybody.
He got to stay in the 10, though. I respect
This
that.
is Mexican crime.
He's right.
Yeah,
That is true. You know what? Keep him there. You're right.
You can't go home now. You can't go home. Well, you can't go home now. Your dad, your uncle, someone's got it in for you.
He's going to feel what I feel, Max. We're going to have people attacking Ariola on Twitter.
I know it's a brother
See,
on top,
I think the top 3 guys are in one category. I think Bivol is the next guy
for
in.
sure.
I love Bivol.
By the way, he's great.
Yes.
Better BF. How about Better BF? It took Bivol, he competed twice in close fights. I thought Bivol won both fights,
I did
but
too.
they were competitive fights. And Arthur Better BF is 76 years old.
Wait, hold on, Max. So, Bivol, you don't think he's up there with them top 3?
I think
he's up there with them top 3.
No, I think that the difference is Crawford, Usyk, Inoue are all-time greats. Okay. I'm comfortable saying they're all-time greats already. And Bivol, to me, is the next guy in, but not quite there.
Max, I'm going on record right now. If we do this exact segment in a year from now, David Benavidez and Nakatani are both going to be in the top 5.
What about Bam?
Bam, I was just
might be there too.
Bam's going to be in the top 5.
But I think Benavidez and Nakatani are the guys that are going to be moving up this list quickly.
Hold on. Unless Shakur and Teo happens and Shakur wins. Then Shakur skyrockets.
Yeah, Shakur beats Teo. You got the score in the top.
Let's say Shakur beats Teo. Let's just say, who knows? But let's say 9-3, 8-4, like Crawford just did Canelo. Let's just say.
You got to put him up there.
Where's he going to be? Because the other thing about, there's certain guys like Bam and like Shakur, where it's not just what they do, it's when you watch them, you think that looks different. Right? What happens to Shakur then? Where is he?
That's a good one. Only thing about Bivol, I think if you match him up who you match him up with, right? The same thing with the Crawford. We all knew Crawford was a pound-for-pound king, but it took a certain fighter to get that type of respect.
That's right.
I think Bivol is in that category too, whoever you match him with.
I got another one for you. Teo.
Yeah.
I love Teo too.
By the way, now that we're looking at it, maybe Teo instead of Canelo at 10.
Not at this exact moment for me.
He beat Josh Taylor Hasn't to win the.
And he lost to Kambosos.
But that was before the Taylor fight.
Yeah.
And that was after he beat Lomachenko and he had a legit medical condition. And since then, hasn't lost. And on that card, where everyone was supposed to show out and no one did, he beat Barbosa, who's a good fighter.
One thing, Max, I am with you on all that, but if you're going to mention Teal's medical condition and his loss against Kambosos, then we have to also be fair and mention that Lomachenko had a torn rotator cuff when he fought Teal.
That's fair.
Okay.
But
I agree.
Teal is
he lost to Kambosos. In other words, stop. He lost to Kambosos.
Yes.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I rescind my previous.
Wow, this is the first time for everything, right?
But the point is, Teal, man, he has a good claim at 10.
Yes, he
and
does.
if he beat, how about this? Teal beats Shakur. Where's Teal going to be with wins against Lomachenko and Shakur?
Well, look, Nakatani at 7.
Higher than that.
He'll go to 8.
If Teal beats Shakur Stevenson, you have to look at Teofimo Lopez and you have to decide how high up is he? Does he jump better? BF? I think so. I think he's top 5 if he beats.
Look, Nakatani number 7 right now. He's probably going to get a chance against Inoue next summer. We think that's going to happen. Benavidez, who do you want to see him fight next year? Because he's fighting Anthony Yarde in November.
Come on, man.
That's not going to move him up.
There's one fight that you want to see.
Arthur. If he fights Arthur Benavidez, that's a great fight.
Or Bivol.
That'd be a good ass.
But he's talking about.
I want Arthur.
He's talking about. Sometimes you have two dudes, and it's cannot miss.
Yeah, that's the
right. Better BF against
David
Benavidez.
Man, that's a war. That's a beautiful fight.
Leave the kids at home for that one.
Dude, that's going to be, I'll say it right now, that's going to be one of the greatest slugfests of all time in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Arthur showed me I know he can do
That's
that
the thing. That's the thing about Better BF. He can box.
Yes, he can.
What is it like if you run into a guy who has all the toughness you have and everything and the power, and he can box?
It's just two bad motherfuckers just colliding and try to fucking get the survivor of the fittest. Who's
you've been in plenty of those.
Yeah, you have to be who's the strongest. You can't back down.
Because you know what I believe it's Teddy Atlas. I quoted Teddy on the broadcast too, who said, I spent years talking boxing with Teddy. When two really tough guys meet, you know who's tougher? The smarter one. The smarter one winds up tougher. And as great as Benavidez has looked recently,
he's nice.
Better BF is a smart,
He's going to be what, 41
fighter.
in January?
That's bananas.
Yeah, you can't even see it.
41 years old.
And had a bad injury, had surgery on his ankle, I think, or something last year.
You know what's crazy to me? When you have a great fighter and it's still a what could have been story. Right. What could have been if this dude would have turned pro over here years ago?
More activity, right.
Man, he'd be
I say
going
the same
down.
thing about Lomachenko. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Why did he return pro a little earlier?
Speaking of pound for pound, guys, I think we want to acknowledge one of boxing's biggest stars in the early 2000s, the early part of this century. He was Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year in 2005. And Ricky Hatton, who passed away, a day and a half ago
Sunday
at this
morning,
point, Sunday morning. For younger members of our audience who may not be familiar with Ricky Hatton, go to DAZN and watch his fights and tributes. He was, he's being promoted over in England, and I'm watching. I'm thinking, yeah, he's a brawler. Let's see how good he is. I think maybe he's being overhyped. He eventually gets a title shot with Costa Tszyu.
Who was the ring champ at the time, I believe.
Costa Tszyu was not only the ring champion, but Costa Tszyu was a phenom. He's one of these dudes. Costa Tszyu turned pro and immediately was fighting for the title. And like a half dozen fights, whatever it was, and he laid waste to the junior welterweight division. He dominated. So when Hatton signed to fight Tszyu, I'm like, they're feeding him to Costa Tszyu? Hatton won. He smothered the great old fighter and beat him up and won the fight. And Hatton, unfortunately, some people are remembered for iconic moments like knockout right there on the receiving end. There were 3 guys who made Mayweather and Pacquiao. 3 common opponents. De La Hoya, they both beat him, but the way Pacquiao beat him, whoa, right? Cotto, Floyd same too. Thing, Floyd. And Hatton. I think the way they both, that is a tribute to Ricky Hatton because he's one of the reasons when you saw the 2 greatest fighters of their era and 2 of the greatest fighters of all time, Mayweather and Pacquiao, it's the fact that they could beat Hatton like that made people like, oh, we got to see these 2 guys fight each other.
And Max, to me, when I think of Ricky Hatton's legacy, to me, it's that he's one of the best and biggest boxing attractions of all time.
He was.
You think about how big boxing is in the UK, how much he meant to England. This guy had Liam and Noel Gallagher, the Oasis brothers, in his corner when he fought Paulie Malignaggi, and another quality win.
Here, how about this one,
And
guys?
he was a dog, man. Didn't duck nobody and fought the best. I love that.
Why do you
about
think he
Ricky.
had that style, by the way? So the smothering style? Ricky Hatton's vision wasn't great, right?
Really?
That's one of the reasons he fought the way he fought. Now, think about that. Think about fighting through adversity, right? When you don't see as well as your opponent in boxing, and that leads to a style where you're all over them and smothering them, not by choice. I mean, he has that temperament anyway, but because Ricky Hatton was the type of dude who did what needed to be done. No one ever left the Ricky Hatton fight, oh, that was no good. He didn't give it his all.
Tons of respect.
And he had that same kind of reputation as a person too. I dealt with him from time to time, but everyone universally beloved figure in boxing.
Yep. I respect Ricky, man.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you say when something like this happens? 46 years old, way too young.
Prayers out to his family.
The great Ricky Hatton. Our thoughts are with his loved ones, of course.
Special thanks to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority and Saudi Boxing Federation, Turki Al-Sheikh. This event is a presentation of Riyadh season. Let's get ready to rumble!
Canelo is looking to be friends, and Crawford is not looking to be friends. This is furious action.
Oh, and that's a good early land by Crawford.
This has been a masterful performance from Terence Crawford.
Ring Magazine, an undisputed super middleweight champion of the world.
Thank you to all the haters. I appreciate every one of y'all.
I'm glad to share the ring with great fighters, and I'm glad to be here.
Welcome back to Inside the Ring. Max Kellerman, Mike Coppinger, Chris Arreola, Shady McCoy. Guys, let's get back into Crawford-Canelo. Going into the fight, it was Canelo-Crawford, but there's kind of like an unwritten tradition in boxing that coming out of the fight, you put the names in order of who won. So it's now Crawford-Canelo.
That's right. That's a fair point.
I think about the performances that shed light on the era you just came out of. Pernell Whitaker and Julio Cesar Chavez. By the way, also American-Mexican, right? And Chavez, one of the greatest fighters who ever lived. Chavez was a killer. Unbelievable, like an all-time great. And he was dominating boxing when Pernell beat him but was given a draw. But what I always felt that fight illuminated was, no. Pernell's been the best fighter since, he beat Greg Haugen in '89, and by that time it's 1993. It sheds new light on it. And that's how I feel about Crawford and Canelo. It shed light, it illuminated Crawford's greatness and showed Shady, as we were talking earlier, when given the chance, this is what he has, right? People saying, well, who did he fight? Not his fault. As soon as he had the chance, he did it.
And not only just fighting him and beating him, dominating him. Errol Spence, we all thought he was a great fighter. He dominated him. Okay, let's go to Canelo. 3 weight classes. And I don't even want to say 2 because he was at 154 for a day, okay? And then jumped up to 168. And then I said, Canelo, come in any weight you want to be at.
Yep.
No rehydration clause. And then you dominate him like this. I give a lot of credit to Crawford because how great he is and how special. But to Canelo, every time you fight a top tier, pound for pound type of fighter, you don't just lose. You get dominated. Bivol and Floyd and now Terence Crawford, argue with your mom. All I'm saying is every time you fight somebody that's elite, y'all know the rest.
Crawford he won a belt at 54, but has not demonstrated he's the champion of that division. But he was the lightweight champ, the junior welterweight champ, the welterweight champ, and now the super middleweight champ. And I have ideas about him picking up being the middleweight. Fight a named fighter in the meantime, the winner of Ben Eubank, whatever, something like that, right? A named fighter, you go to England, whatever it is. You sign a little 2-fight deal, right? Riyadh season, something like that. And then
give a couple dollars,
and then let the middleweights put the belts together. Because when you this is how Ring Magazine championships work. If you put the belts together, you get the Ring Magazine champion if you're undisputed. You have the belt that actually matters. Think of the Ring Magazine belt actually as the real common sense undisputed belt.
Right.
That's really what it is. So let the middleweights put it together and then fight for that and become the first ever 5-division Ring Magazine champion, Mike.
That's interesting, but you know what I kind of want to see?
Don't say it.
What if David Benavidez can come back to 168
Oh my God.
and kind of levels the playing field, right? He's going to be weight drained a bit. No, maybe there's a rehydration clause for Crawford. I don't know. Not saying he'd want it.
Can I tell you why it's a good idea? Look, first
It's
of all,
not a good idea, Max. It's a bad idea, Max.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Thank God.
And I wouldn't recommend it and all that.
Thank you, Max.
But his reaction, your reaction tells me Cop is onto something. And I will tell you why. Because what's boxing really about at the highest level? Take the best guy and say, how could I get him beat? That's the fight you want to see. Can the best guy beat the hardest challenge, right? That's the biggest fight. So Cop just did something that made you nervous as a Bud fan.
It pissed me off.
As a Bud fan. But he's right, Chris. If you drain Benavidez down to 68, that's not him going up to 75.
But see, once you drain somebody, like, are you really beating them? Yeah, you're beating them.
Yeah. It's a big fight. It's a super fight.
Like you said, you know, Mayweather had Canelo drained. He drained him, and that's why he beat him. Crawford didn't have to do that to
Come on now.
Canelo
But at a certain point, a dude is just too big.
Yeah,
you need
for
something.
sure. So,
I can't ask Crawford to go to 75.
Why even risk that? Why even risk that? There's plenty of other fights that he could be made.
As a fight fan, it's something that gets me excited. Right?
It don't get me excited. Listen.
You wouldn't watch that?
Hold on, real quick. A while ago, Crawford asked about Canelo. He said, man, he's too big for me. Crawford was talking about it.
Right.
But then he said, you know what? He's not really that much bigger than me. So that made sense. Even though everybody talked about the weight difference, David Benavidez fighting Crawford.
You know why he's right?
I do not want to see
you
that.
You just convinced me. No, for another reason. Crawford's not going to put no rehydration clause and all that.
Because he's not going to do it. Yeah,
Because he's not that type dude.
So
Benavidez going to come in at 200 pounds, dude.
I have another crazy idea. Bivol, on numerous occasions in the past, I said he would go to 168 to fight Canelo.
I don't like that fight for Crawford. Listen, if you take a lighter division fighter, a non-heavyweight, especially who started as a lightweight champ, eventually you can find a guy big enough to beat him. Okay. I think that Bivol, considering how he can move at that weight, maybe that's the guy who beats Crawford at the weight because he's a bigger guy than Crawford.
Crawford's longer than Bivol. He's actually
a bigger guy.
He's a better boxer. He used the shit out of that jab. Coming out the lefty, like, he used it so good. He kept that foot on the outside. He'd do the same thing to Bivol.
Yeah, Chris, we was neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think
he's a big dude. He looks like a running back.
Yeah. I think it's more interesting for Crawford to make history at middleweight, to drop down and fight for the Ring Magazine championship at middleweight and do something that Henry Armstrong never did, that Floyd Mayweather never did, that Sugar Ray Leonard never did, that Robinson, that nobody, Pacquiao, no one ever did that. Five-division Ring Magazine champ. Never happened. Okay, guys, I have to change the subject for a second.
Thank you, because revolvers.
One of the most iconic punches in boxing. I believe this will become one of history's iconic boxing punches, even though it didn't result in a knockdown. It's already been memed that, right? It's a meme now. I want you to look at this shot that Crawford hit Canelo with. Okay? Canelo misses a right hand. Watch Crawford's left hand right on the button. Now, Canelo tries to look it off, but he got hit so cleanly, he couldn't look it off. The momentum twisted him all the way around, and he looked back at Crawford like, yo, what just happened? Here goes Canelo trying to look the shot off, but it's too late, and his whole body's rippling in that direction. But the reason I want to point it out, and then he looks at him like, what? The reason I want to point it out is,
on the hook after that too.
We said before this fight, Canelo is in the conversation for greatest chin ever. How many fighters are still standing after that?
Yeah, he got a chin.
How many fights? I mean, you're not supposed to. I know it wasn't right on the button, but oh my God.
It was flush, though.
It was flush.
But you're not surprised, though, because Canelo, I mean, we all said that. We can all vote. That's something that me and Mike probably could agree on for once, is that Canelo probably is the best chin we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've only seen him rattled with one time, ever.
I think about, let me tell you the greatest chins in boxing history. Tex Cobb at heavyweight. That's the dude that Larry Holmes beat so bad over 15 rounds, Howard Cosell walked away from boxing. I watched that fight, a little black and white TV at my grandma's house. Howard Cosell, I remember the speech. This is too brutal and barbaric, and he walks away from boxing. Cobb had one of the, Tex Cobb, in that conversation at heavyweight. Jake LaMotta, Raging Bull. Never really knocked off his feet. Marvin Hagler. But this
what about
dude,
James Toney?
James Toney, great chin. This dude is in that category. You can make an argument for him.
The big old neck,
Triple G
man.
too, though. Triple G got a chin.
That big
Yeah,
neck.
yeah, he does. Big neck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he do.
But usually the big neck guys use it as a shock absorber like Tyson, but he got the big neck and the look off slick style, right? So not only does it absorb it, but then he looks off the shot too.
Max, one thing I want to touch on, and we talked about it a lot going into the fight, so many times when you get to these big super fights, there's so much expectation, so much pressure that the fights just don't deliver. We saw with Mayweather Pacquiao. To me, this fight over-delivered.
Yes.
Both of the Crawford's fights delivered, man. Both of them. When he fought this one and when he fought Spence, man. Both of them.
It's that, see, you have to know the kind of mentality that a fighter has. Crawford, when he says, usually a fighter say, I'm not scared, right? And because of Customato and Mike Tyson, everyone now knows everyone's scared and fighters are scared and it's how you deal with the fear and all that. But when Bud tells you, I'm not scared, he's not lying. Because I think the one thing he's scared of, he even said, I'm scared of my mom, right?
Yeah.
But it's not exactly even that, I don't think. I think he's scared of proving his mom right. Wow. Because his mom his whole life said, basically, you ain't shit. And that's what she told him, no matter what he did.
It was crazy.
And the thing that scares him is that he proved her right. That's the only thing.
About that,
so the opponent doesn't scare him at all.
Yeah. And then the thing with him is like, when we talk about that dog, now you really can see it. He was a smaller man in that fight. You couldn't tell.
He was a dog.
He dominated Canelo. He dominated.
But he did the same also with Benavidez in that fight with Benavidez. Man, I love that fight because Benavidez was talking a lot of shit.
You know, it's a great point, too. That's another storyline if we did do a Crawford-Benavidez fight.
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah.
He already beat his brother. By the way, his brother gave him a little fight.
Eventually the older brother,
And this whole week, the best saying was, ain't gonna be no difference. I'm gonna stop a mudhole in your ass, and you're gonna be just like them.
All right, guys, here's the real question. What I love about the whole Mount Rushmore thing is what Mount Rushmore is really about is not who you're putting on, it's who you're leaving off.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming up, after Bud Crawford's performance last night, 42-0, 4-time Ring Magazine champion, 4 different weight classes, our boxing Mount Rushmore since 1990 we're going back. Since 1990, our boxing Mount Rushmore. Who's off? We'll be right back with more Inside the Ring.
You don't like that?
Rhino seems in a really happy place.
This place has just come alive. This is extraordinary. It's bizarre. It's mad. What a shot from Joe Parker.
There's a secret?
No, we're about to do it.
I know the secret.
No patience.
I didn't say secret about my man.
All right, guys, welcome back to Inside the Ring. With all that's happened this weekend, we wanted to break down our Mount Rushmores. Again, an exercise, not in who's on. There are plenty of names to choose from. Someone's getting left off. This is since 1990, and we're talking about Inside the Ring. The show is Inside the Ring. Don't tell me about the cultural impact and goalies. I'm talking about Inside the Ring. That's the name of this show. Let's start, Chris Ariola, with you. Who is on your Mount Rushmore since 1990?
Well, let's see. You got Roy. You can't go wrong with Roy.
Can't go wrong with Roy.
In my opinion, Lennox Lewis was one of the best heavyweights in the 90s.
Interesting pick, man.
Lennox. I like Lennox.
Yep.
But we had a lot of them in the 90s. Yep. We had a lot of them in the 90s.
Yeah, but you know what,
Lennox.
Chris? If you did a heavyweight tournament all time, I'm not talking about who was best in their era. I mean, just who would beat who. Probably Lennox wins it.
Yeah.
He's probably too big, fast, strong.
And he can box.
And he could box.
And he had a good fucking coach.
Yep.
Great coach.
Yeah, Manuel Stewart, the late great.
And of course, we got to have money. Floyd Mayweather. No, this is Pretty Boy Floyd. 90s is Pretty Boy Floyd and Oscar De La Hoya. How can you go wrong with Oscar De La Hoya? Oscar De La Hoya, 92 Olympian, and he pretty boy.
Oscar got losses because he fought everybody. Yeah. If you fight everybody, unlike Floyd, when they're good, you're going to lose. In fact, for those of you who definitely yes, Floyd, definitely Oscar, no, I'll remind you, almost at the very end of Oscar's career, right in the middle of Floyd's prime, Oscar gave him, he lost the fight fair and square, but gave him a good competitive 12-round fight.
A good fight, yeah.
And Oscar was toward the end.
Yep.
Shady, who you got?
All right, that was a good list, Chris. Great list.
Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
now,
that.
How'd I do? Reveal. Yeah, boy. I got
That's right.
Roy Jones Jr. Listen, I can't think of nobody that was flashy outside the ring and flashy inside the ring. That's Roy Jones, pound for pound. Manny Pacquiao, right? Started at what
112.
112. Come on now. Then you had a super fight with Manny or whatever. Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
You gotta go Money Man, right? Money Man, even though he's pretty boy Floyd in the 90s, right? At this time, he was fighting all the best fighters, and he actually was fighting. And then the last and the best, Terence Bud Crawford. The way he just did to Canelo to end it at 38 years old. Come on now.
That is, I got to tell you the truth, Chris. I like his list better than yours.
Hey,
I like his Mount Rushmore.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
I like it. I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Tough to argue with anyone on there.
My Mount Rushmore, Max, so I'm going to preface this with, I did not go with who I thought were the 4 best fighters, because that's not what Mount Rushmore is, in my opinion. It's not the 4 best presidents. It's who can you not tell the story of boxing without.
All right. You know what?
Most influential.
Okay. All right. You can't tell the story without him.
You can't tell.
All right,
so
fine.
I'm going with the 4 biggest attractions since 1990.
All right.
Oscar De La Hoya. Look, De La Hoya's been around for so long now. He's had controversies. He's had memes. I think people forget about how great this guy was. He was a monster in the ring. Ducked nobody.
Great fighter.
Blood and guts warrior. I can never forget when he knocked out Fernando Vargas. All the blood. And you mentioned, right, Max? De La Hoya gave Mayweather a great fight when he was at the end.
Yeah. Very competitive.
So Oscar De La Hoya has to be on there. Manny Pacquiao, enough said. Economic engine for the sport for so long.
Yes.
Changed the game from Asia. Opened up another market.
Great fighter.
Look how many great Filipino fighters have come into the sport because of Manny Pacquiao. Floyd Mayweather, the biggest gates, the 2 biggest gates in boxing history. Biggest, 2 biggest pay-per-view numbers. Enough said. And Mike Tyson, again, not the best, but Mike Tyson, those fights with Holyfield, for better or worse. People forget that first fight with Holyfield was the fight of the year. It was heavyweight classic. People forget about that because of the bite fight and the rematch. Holyfield was tough to leave off this list. Tyson Fury, Canelo, Roy Jones Jr., but I think this is the 4.
I'm proud of you, Mike. You know why?
Why is that?
You got 2 brothers on your list. I like that, my guy.
All right. Now time for my Mount Rushmore. Check it out. I put 5. That's right.
Wow. That's cheating.
I love it.
That is cheating.
That's a heel turn.
You the boss.
That
I love
is heel.
it.
That's a heel turn.
I love it. You got 5, though.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Wow.
Roy at his peak. Just remember this. If Roy would have retired after the Ruiz fight, he would have replaced Sugar Ray Robinson as the greatest fighter of all time.
I agree.
Right?
I
but
agree.
he didn't, and the rest of that stuff is in there, right? Yeah. So I get it. But Roy at his peak, I think, had a higher peak than anyone on this list.
I agree.
Okay, Manny Pacquiao, we've all said it a million times. I think he is, outside of Sugar Ray Robinson, I have Manny Pacquiao's second greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. Floyd Mayweather never lost. And did he cherry pick when and where? Yes. But guys, from 130, 135, he cleaned out 135. He beat the best guy at 130, beat the best guy at 135. Yes, did he pick and choose at 140, 47, and 54? Yeah, but he won all those fights.
That's right.
And he beat a lot of good fighters.
Mayweather,
And more than that, put Floyd at his best in with anyone through history. You do not know who wins. You're like, right? Like, that's how great he was. And I got to put Terence Crawford on the list, guys. Now, if I had Pernell Whitaker,
that's your favorite fighter.
We know, Max.
That's your favorite fighter. That's your favorite fighter.
Here's the thing.
Does he get a gold tooth?
Here's the thing. If you want to get Floyd or Crawford beat, take Pernell. Not a bad shot. Pernell.
Now, Max.
If I had to pick between Pernell and one of those 2, no one's out boxing.
Now, Max, if you actually followed the rules of this exercise and did 4, who are you leaving off the list?
Well, good pressure. I like that. We need an answer.
Let me tell you why it would have to be Roy.
Roy, wow.
Because it's the era he was fighting in.
Yeah.
But there were not enough great fighters. There was Bernard Hopkins and there was James Toney, and that's a lot. But
beat both of them.
And he beat both of them.
He did.
But Mikuszewski never wanted to fight him unless they could get him over there so they could rob him. And the fact is, like this is what Roy should have done, in my opinion. When he beat John Ruiz, he opened as a 2-1 favorite to beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson.
Come on now.
If you think back to when Tyson knocked out Spinks in 1 round, everyone was thinking it. No one would say it, but like, that's the greatest fighter ever, Mike Tyson, right? If I would have told you there's an amateur junior middleweight who's going to turn pro, never come close to losing a fight, wipe out middleweight, super middle, light heavy, and then jump up and beat a type 5 heavy, and one day open as a 2-1 favorite to beat Mike Tyson, you'd be like, come on, man, now you're describing the best fighter ever. So if he would have beaten Tyson at heavy, forget about Tarver, don't go back down to light heavy, melt off all that muscle, and then he was never the same after that. if he stays at heavy, beats Tyson, and then beats Holyfield, and then retires, it's over. It's over. It's over for Ray Robinson. It's over for everyone. Not only is it over for everyone, no one would probably ever come around to replace it, right? But it's just not what happened.
So that's how it ended for you.
Not just the end, and really you hurt your legacy because there's a whole generation that probably remembers Roy getting knocked out when he's like 48, 40.
Yeah, Roy once
not fair, but
Roy once got so mad at me. My first HBO broadcast, I'd said that he was ringside and I was working the desk, I think, with Bob Costas actually, and I said there was a proposal for a Roy Jones fight, and the way I phrased it wasn't good, but I said, "Oh, Roy is damaged goods." He got mad. Roy, obviously.
Did he get you? Did he try to get you like Mike?
Oh, he was. He didn't want to see me
because he was trying to do it 11.
No, Roy didn't want to see me because he was afraid, like he was that mad.
Oh.
Yeah. But the reason, and I didn't phrase it well, but the reason I said that was because I wanted to preserve his legacy. Okay. I didn't want people to think that the Roy Jones, once he came back down, had anything to do with the guy we saw through the Ruiz fight, which is the best fighter I've ever seen with my own eyes, right? Mm-hmm. So, but in the end, if I had to since 1990, it would be Purnell, Pacquiao, Floyd, and Bud. Yeah, that would be.
I just think how Roy was so dominant. My dad used to make me watch James Toney. He loved his defense. And I watched Roy dominating.
Yeah.
Same with B-Hop.
He beat B-Hop with one hand.
He dominated.
He beat him with one
hand. That
hand.
matters when you talk about the greats. That really matters.
But there's a difference, too, between peak and career.
Yeah, true. That's true.
If you talk about peak, it's Roy all day. Yeah. Career is something different. I think Mount Rushmore were also, it's... All right, guys.
Good point.
That's a tough segment. Coming up, our final thoughts in the final round. Stick around. This is Inside the Ring.
Here comes a shot, and there's the opening goal. He's able to shoot the gap. He makes a play.
Took an uppercut there when he was tight on the rope. He didn't see him coming.
Welcome back. It's the final round. As you remember, Anthony Olasquaga was, let me say that clearly, Anthony Olasquaga was on our show last week, and he stopped Juan Carlos Camacho in the second round at the Underdog Series in Vegas. Guys, you were there?
Yeah, I won. Actually, when he won, I went to the ring, had some drinks. I was feeling good about myself. Turkey was right there, so he gave me okay. I said, yo, you did it. You said it. He said, I told you. I told you so. Everything he said he's going to do on this show, he did in the ring.
La Princesa.
Yeah.
Princesa.
No, impressive performance, and
it was.
I'm not just saying this because it was our event, but that was an incredible event in terms of the concept. You go to so many of these club shows over the years, and it's just a ring, and they have some music a little bit. This was like a party. We had a DJ there.
Yeah.
You had barrels. It was very gritty. The whole look and feel and the aesthetic.
Yeah, what was the series called that Turkey did in Brooklyn? The
Sparring Club.
The Sparring Club had the same kind of feel to me, right? And it was one of our producers just got in our ear. Was that Sharif? And said KO Nation on HBO. But KO Nation on HBO felt a little more manufactured to me. And this feels more organic. It feels like people are.
Yeah, we even had a fight in the stands between two fighters.
And that was a good fight. Hey, Turkey should go find him and sign. That was a good fight. But real quick, when you come in, the lights are like dim until you see the ring, right? Everybody's hanging out. It was super
the video
nice.
boards. Yeah.
It reminded me of one of them alleyways in New York where it's like underground fighting. And people put a little bet on the line.
That's clearly the point here, right? Yeah. And I like that because you had a weekend where from the top most perch of the sport, right, you got this incredible main event. And by the way, even in that undercard, you noticed a lot of 60-40 type fights, 50-50 type fights.
Yes.
A lot of so-called A-sides got beaten by B-sides in that fight. Like, oh, look at that. And that's not what boxing fans are used to. No. And now also from the underneath, you get like up-and-coming fighters. And the kind of the grittier kind of scene.
What's the kid from Baltimore that was fighting?
Khalil Hackett?
No, dang. It's going to piss me off. I forget his name. Kid from Baltimore, phenomenal to know. I forget his name.
If only there was a show like Inside the Ring where he could be shouted out.
Yeah, I want to shout him out. He was nice.
Well, look, I want to say big props to Olasquaga because
let's get a name.
Olasquaga had a platform and he delivered. Second round, it was an action fight.
Who's the biggest winner from the weekend, guys?
Oh, easy. What's his name? What's his name, bro?
We're the biggest.
What's his name?
You know who's the biggest winner? You know who's the biggest winner? The sport.
Yeah.
So many times we get to these. So many times we get to these
He'll
fights.
say anything not to say Bud Crawford.
Bud Crawford won the fight, but if you're asking for the absolute biggest winner from the weekend, it was the sport, Max.
Was Bud on your Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
Was he? You put Bud on your Mount Rushmore?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No.
Is he not the biggest winner from the weekend? You didn't put him on the Mount Rushmore.
You see where I'm going with
you
this?
picked him to lose.
You see where I'm going
He
with
gets
this?
all the credit. But
I'm looking for some credit.
You see
Where's the credit?
It's got to be
Where's
Bud.
the credit?
It's
It's got to be under here somewhere. Where is it?
Can he take his power? Can he take his punch?
It's in the bank. It's in the bank.
It's in the bank. It's true.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Final thoughts on Canelo Crawford, for real. What do you think, Chris?
Crawford did exactly what I said he was going to do. He's a silent killer. He was a dog and did everything that he was supposed to. Not only that, he just dominated. He just boxed. He boxed. He dominated the boxing, in my opinion, with the pivots, the jabs, and the combinations. Everything that we love about boxing, he did.
Shady.
It's so much I could say. Terence Crawford finally getting his credit, that's big for me. I don't really care about all the other stuff because I knew he was this good, but now you really can see it. Now, friends that talk about it, now the world's going to talk about it, how great he really is.
You know, you a lot of times say for the culture, right? Like you said it today.
The culture, we so happy with Bud right now.
The reason I want to bring it up, and I want to shine light on like the feeling that Shady has, because you had black celebrities ringside like Dave Chappelle. I want to say something about that.
Right.
The fact is, in North American boxing, in the last, I don't know, 30, 40 years, right? Since Sugar Ray Leonard, post Sugar Ray Leonard, because the Mexican fan base and Mexican-American fan base has been keeping boxing alive in North America, if you are a black fighter and you're not a heavyweight, either you have an Olympic gold medal so that you'll be marketed, and that hasn't happened a lot recently, right? Or you're expected to talk a lot of trash, right? Be a big, flashy personality. That's how you will be marketed.
Yeah.
And I think there is a sense in the culture, quote unquote, Shady. This happened with, I mentioned Pernell Whitaker, right? Floyd turned himself into a marketing machine, but now it's happened again with Bud Crawford, where there's a sense like, oh, our guy who was shut out of big fights or otherwise overlooked or underrated because he wouldn't fit into a certain stereotype.
That's right, that's right.
He's finally gotten his opportunity. A lot of times it comes against a Mexican fighter because that guy is the money-making machine, so he's had the opportunity. And when he's great and is willing to take risks, like Julio Cesar Chavez or Canelo Alvarez, eventually the Pernell Whitaker or the Bud Crawford gets his shot.
Right.
And then people like you, Shady McCoy, feel a certain kind of way about it. I think that I'm trying to articulate why I think people might look and go, the black guy, right? Likes, or if you're watching this overseas, African-American guy likes the African-American fighter. But there's a reason for that. It's not simply like tribal, because boxing has always marketed itself by exploiting ethnic rivalries and stuff like that. I think it's a little deeper when it comes to guys like Bud Crawford.
You're totally right about that one.
Cop?
Look, obviously Terence Crawford, I did pick Canelo, but I'm not surprised Crawford won. What I am surprised by is the way he did it. Fighting in the pocket, winning the exchanges, even landing the bigger shots down the stretch. That was really impressive to me. And Crawford, like we said earlier, he did it his way. Bob Arum once famously said that he, with all the money he quote unquote wasted and lost on Terence Crawford, he said he could have bought 2 mansions in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
Crawford, though, it was amazing to see him fighting before 70,000 on Netflix. He's a big star now. I also want to add, in smaller news, over the weekends, Lewis Crocker picked up a title in the first title fight ever in Ireland between 2 Irish fighters.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Isn't that crazy? Yeah, there's never been a title fight between 2 Irish fighters in Ireland. A world title fight. It's nuts.
That was surprising.
He made history for real.
He made history, and you have to imagine that in a division like 147 where you have Devin Haney now, Brian Norman, Ryan Garcia, an Irish champion is going to bring money to somebody.
And about the culture, real quick, Max, just to back you up, going into the fight, it was all Mexican fans. It was so loud. Everything with Crawford is booing. But when we left, the culture was the only ones yelling. That's how I went.
And I have something to say about Crawford, guys. Floyd Mayweather, I mentioned earlier, is undefeated. Once upon a time, Rocky Marciano was. And when guys retire undefeated, it's tough for their fans to imagine them losing because they saw him in tough spots. They never saw him lose. Right. Hard to tell those fans that guy would ever lose to anyone, right? Now, in Marciano's case, he's a heavyweight. We see heavyweights twice his size now. People would be, all right, cut, he's too small. Okay. Yeah. In Floyd's case, we'll see. Crawford's case, his resume is not as deep as Floyd's, but what everyone who lived through his era knows is he fought everyone that was available to him. He didn't pick and choose like Floyd. He fought, he looked, even if his resume is not as deep as Floyd's, not his fault. And what this generation is going to feel if he never loses, if he retires after a fight or two and he hasn't lost, is what generations, and I mentioned this on the broadcast of the fight, feel about Michael Jordan. I lived through Michael Jordan. You can't tell me anyone better than Jordan.
Yeah.
What this generation is going to feel about LeBron 20 years from now when a guy comes along who, is he better than LeBron? You're not going to be able to tell these kids anything, right? That's Crawford for this era.
I agree.
He's going to have adherents who say that guy would have beaten anybody in any era. Bring your best guy. Bud is better.
I agree.
That's a hell of a win. All right, guys, that does it for Inside the Ring. For Chris Arreola, Mike Coppinger, LaShawn McCoy, I'm Max Kellerman. We're going to see you next week.